Disability is not a choice. Anybody can be affected by it. 1 in every 7 people worldwide are physically limited, yet this group of over 1 billion citizens who suffer from handicaps are all discriminated against. What little support they are given is hard fought for, even though equality is considered a human right. Throughout history, those with physical deformities restricting their movement have been abandoned. This marginalization is a long time in the making. In the 1690s, children with physical deformities were burned to death as part of the Salem witch trials. The superstitious community did not see the handicapped as equals, so they removed the disabled population as a whole from their society. In the early 1950s, a disease known as polio, which disabled and later killed many helpless people, overwhelmed countries worldwide, affecting over 20 million. This population was one of the first to receive true support from the government, as even a president, FDR, suffered from polio. In the 1990s, the American government passed the Americans with Disabilities Act, which helped those with disabilities by requiring equal opportunity for employment and public accommodations. Quality of life for the handicapped community has improved greatly throughout history, but they are still not treated as equals. Today, handicapped citizens are inactively marginalized, as, while they are no longer burned at the stake, they do not truly have equal opportunities in modern society. Only 17.5% of the handicapped community are allowed jobs, while 65% of those without physical constraints are part of the workforce. Many people don't see the handicapped community as a marginalized group at all. The truth is that they are the largest in the world, but sadly, they are overlooked. The handicapped struggle with many physical barriers, such as accessibility to public places and transportation, but this can all be easily changed. An increase in funding towards ramps or elevators, creation of handicapped designated taxi services, and the enforcement of handicap parking would provide a hospitable environment for those less capable of surviving on their own.
There have been many successes for the handicapped community in recent years. The creation of handicapped parking spots has greatly improved the daily life of the physically disabled. Because of these important parking spots, disabled people are given easier access to popular and crowded buildings. A negative aspect of these spots is that in areas where parking spots are limited, people without any disabilities will park in them, making it very difficult for disabled people to approach the building. One of the biggest successes for the physically handicapped community was the creation of a vaccine to prevent polio. It is given to children multiple times and protects from polio for life. This invention has decreased the number of polio cases from about 350,000 cases in 1988 to just 37 cases in 2016. The American Disabilities Act prevents the physically disabled from being discriminated in everyday situations. This law creates rules that private businesses of all sizes must follow. All private businesses with their place of work built after 1993 must cater to the needs of the physically disabled. This law was a huge step to stopping the discrimination against physically handicapped people. Many people have false assumptions about people with physical disabilities. In the 1800s, the mentally disabled were thought of as tragic and unable to contribute to society in any way other than entertainment at circuses and other events. Also, it was believed that people with physical disabilities were feeble-minded. As time passed and we elected a president disabled by polio, the protection and effort for the physically disabled has significantly increased.
Handicapped people have been marginalized throughout history and are still marginalized today. Some examples are in food stores that have high shelves. These high shelves can contain important items to buy that a handicapped person simply cannot reach. No stores really notice this and hasn't implemented any handicap aisles or people to help out with handicap shopping. Handicapped people also have a harder time using public transportation. Taxis are less likely to pick them up because of their shorter stature, which makes it harder to hail a cab. A lot of buses don't have handicapped doors, which makes it near impossible to get on for a handicapped person. And trains have the gap between the platform and the car, which for a walking person is insignificant, but for a person with limited mobility is a real hazard. Handicapped people are also marginalized in the workplace. Many people would rather hire a person that can walk, so they don't have to implement ramps and other handicapped devices. Also, some people have the false assumption that a handicapped person cannot do the same work as a non-handicapped person. Handicapped people also have a harder time getting health care because of their pre-existing condition. Even in our own school, people with disabilities have it much harder than people who don't. There is only one elevator, which one wheelchair can fit for each trip, and only that, but is far from the outermost classrooms. There are also many stairs throughout the building which block the way for a person in a wheelchair, such as the useless 5 steps up to the music hall that could be replaced with a ramp. Hallways are crowded during passing time and contain sharp turns, which make it hard to navigate in the 5 minutes of passing time.